We often think of progress as, just moving forward, always knowing best now. But what if some of the really deep secrets to good nutrition were actually figured out like thousands of years ago, hidden in plain sight in traditional food methods?
That's a great point. And it's definitely true. These weren't just like random cooking habits. They were often really clever techniques
Right.
developed over generations, figuring out powerful ways to unlock what's in the food.
Okay, so we're not just talking about grandma's recipes tasting good, though they probably did.
Hopefully.
We're diving deep into why some of these old methods actually made food, well, better for us nutritionally. And we've got three big ones we want to unpack today.
Yeah.
Fermentation, nixtamalization, and sprouting.
The classics. Each one is a fundamental shift, really, in how we treat food. It's not just heating it up. It's changing its actual makeup.
Exactly. So our mission today is to get to the science behind these changes and uncover some pretty surprising health benefits. Think of it as a quick guide to centuries of food wisdom, but hopefully clear and interesting for you listening.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's start with something that's got a bit of a tang. Fermentation.
Fermentation is amazing, truly.
Yeah.
At its core, it's a metabolic process. You've got tiny microorganisms, bacteria, yeast, sometimes molds breaking down carbs.
Right.
And crucially, usually without much oxygen around. It wasn't just about preservation, though it did that brilliantly. It fundamentally changed the food.
Yeah, so these little enzymatic powerhouses get to work on sugars and starches, turning them into things like alcohol, acids, even gases that make things bubbly. We see this everywhere, don't we?
Oh, definitely. We can sort of group fermentation into a few main types. Each has its own microbial players and, the unique stuff they produce.
Okay.
So first, maybe lactic acid fermentation. This uses what we call lactic acid bacteria, or LAB.
LAB.
Think of them as little sugar eaters that produce lactic acid. That gives the sour taste in yogurt or kimchi, but it also drops the pH.
Ah, so that's the preservative effect.
Exactly. It makes it harder for spoilage microbes to grow. And there are different types, like homolactic, which mainly makes lactic acid, and heterolactic, which makes other things too, like a bit of alcohol and CO2.
So the magic of yogurt, kimchi, it's not just flavor. These islabs are kind of pre-digesting things, adding good bacteria.
Right. Probiotics.
Making minerals easier to absorb, like calcium and iron.
Yeah.
And helping with lactose.
Precisely. Better bioavailability. And yes, it reduces lactose. You find it in sourdough, kvass, cheese, lots of things.
Okay. What's next? Alcoholic fermentation. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, this one's pretty famous. The main star here is often Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Which
is just a fancy term for bakers or brewers' yeast. Same guy.
Ah.
Without much oxygen, it converts sugars into ethanol, the alcohol and carbon dioxide.
Right. Beer, wine, obviously. But the CO2, that's key for bread rising too, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what gives bread its lift. And bubbles in beer and cider. The yeast is basically getting energy from sugar, and without air, alcohol and CO2 are the byproducts.
It's like their metabolic waste is our delicious food and drink.
In a way, yes. Then there's acetic acid fermentation. This one's different because it needs oxygen. It's aerobic.
Okay.
Here you have bacteria, like Acetobacter and Gluconobacter, taking ethanol that's already been produced.
Like from the alcoholic fermentation step.
Exactly. And they oxidize it into acetic acid. That's what gives vinegar its sharpness.
So it can be like a two-stage thing. First alcohol, then vinegar.
Often, yes. And this process also has benefits, antimicrobial properties, maybe helping with blood sugar. Think apple cider vinegar, kombucha, some pickles.
Interesting. And you mentioned sometimes it's not just one type of microbe.
Right, mixed fermentation. That's where it gets really complex and fascinating. You might have yeasts and bacteria, maybe even molds, all working together in sequence.
Like a microbial community project.
Sort of. One microbe might make something that another one then uses. This creates really deep, complex flavors and nutritional profiles. Kefir is a great example.
Kefir grains, right. They're like little ecosystems.
Exactly. A SCOV in kombucha is another example of that kind of symbiotic culture.
It's just incredible that these processes were figured out all over the world, isn't it? Not just in one place.
Absolutely. It's a truly global thing. Every region adapted fermentation based on their local ingredients, their climate. It's cultural heritage captured in microbial action.
Okay, so within this microbial world, we have some real stars. You mentioned yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Yeah, the yeast. It's a workhorse. Turns sugar into ethanol and CO2. Essential for bread rising, making alcoholic drinks. but it also adds flavor.
Hmm.
And some yeasts can be beneficial probiotics, or you get nutritional yeast, which is deactivated but packed with B vitamins.
Okay, so yeast does a lot. What about the bacteria again, the elabs?
The lactic acid bacteria are a huge group. Crucial, you find different types everywhere. Lactobacillus and Streptococcus are key for yogurt, Lactococcus for cheese.
And for vegetables.
Yeah, Leuconostoc often kicks things off in sauerkraut.
Oh.
Kimchi uses a whole mix of elabobs. They preserve, they boost nutrients, break down lactose, and some even make bacteriocins natural antibiotics.
Wow. And molds. We think of mold as bad, but sometimes it's good, like aspergillus.
Yes. Aspergillus oryzae, or koji mold, is vital in East Asian ferments like miso, soy sauce, sake. It's an enzyme powerhouse.
How so?
It produces enzymes that break down starches, proteins, fats really effectively. This creates unique flavors and textures. It's a safe, domesticated mold used for centuries.
Fascinating. And then there was Rhizopus. Sounds like a sci-fi name.
Rhizopus oligosporus, another beneficial mold. This is the one that makes tempeh.
From soybeans, right?
Right. Its thread-like structures, the mycelia, grow through cooked soybeans, binding them into a firm cake. And nutritionally, it's a powerhouse.
Really? How?
Well, it increases the protein content, boosts fiber significantly, and drastically reduces phytic acid by like 70%.
Phytic acid. That's an anti-nutrient, stops mineral absorption.
Exactly. So tempeh is much more nutritious than just plain soybeans because of this mold.
It's amazing how specific these microbes are. Okay, let's touch on the science a bit more. Fuel is sugar.
Right. Glucose, fructose, lactose in milk, maltose in grains, whatever sugar is available.
And the key condition is usually low oxygen, anaerobic.
Mostly, yes.
Huh.
Except for acetic acid fermentation. But for lactic acid and alcohol, that lack of oxygen forces them down specific energy pathways.
And the exhaust from those pathways are the things we value.
Pretty much. Lactic acid for sourness and preservation, ethanol for booze and flavor, CO2 for bubbles and rising, acetic acid for vinegar, plus enzymes that help digestion.
So, summing up fermentation. Flavor, health benefits like probiotics and nutrients, preservation, and cultural connection.
That's a great summary. And it's worth noting the difference between, say, wild fermentation.
Relying on whatever microbes are naturally present.
Right. Can give complex flavors, but it's variable, maybe riskier. Versus controlled fermentation, where you add specific starter cultures.
More predictable, faster.
Generally, yes. Though sometimes people use a bit of both, a hybrid approach.
Can we shout out a few more iconic fermented foods, just to show the range?
Sure. We mentioned miso from Japan, kimchi from Korea. How about kefir from the Caucasus, that tangy milk drink?
Right.
Tempeh from Indonesia, that soybean cake, sauerkraut from Germany, sourdough bread, which has ancient roots everywhere.
And these foods often mean more than just food, culturally speaking.
Oh, absolutely. They mark seasons, they're part of rituals, the methods are passed down. They really embody local identity.
And we see fermentation in both plant-based and animal-based foods.
Yes. Plant ferments like sauerkraut or tempeh, often to make plant nutrients more available. Animal ferments like yogurt or cheese improve shelf life, digestibility, and add those probiotics.
And people are still using traditional methods, clay pots and things.
They are, and there's a growing movement to preserve these techniques, which is vital because they often rely on unique local microbial communities. Modern methods use stainless steel, refrigeration, specific starters.
Which is good for consistency, but maybe loses something.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at, say, Kenya and East Africa, you have amazing traditions. Mursic fermented milk, often in gourds treated with specific tree ash.
Wow.
Uji, a fermented grain porridge, often millet or sorghum. Kivunde fermented cassava. These aren't just food. They're part of ceremonies, daily life, community bonds, and they provide enhanced nutrition, reduce toxins in things like cassava, and give unique local microbes.
The health benefits seem really broad.
They are quite extensive. The transformation can create new bioactive compounds, break down anti-nutrients like phytic acid, make vitamins and minerals more available, even pre-digest components.
And this affects the whole body.
It seems so. Potential benefits for cardiovascular health, mental health via the gut-brain axis, balancing the gut microbiome, supporting immunity. The list goes on.
More specific things, too, like inflammation.
Research is looking into anti-inflammatory effects, bone health benefits, potential role in weight management, skin health improvements, better lactose tolerance, maybe even reduced risk for certain diseases like colon cancer, hormonal balance, improved energy. It's a really active area of study.
That's a lot. So for someone listening thinking, okay, I'm sold, but it sounds complicated, what's an easy first step?
Start simple. Don't try to make everything yourself right away. Buy some good quality sauerkraut or kimchi. Add a spoonful to your meal.
Mm-hmm.
Try plain yogurt or kefir for breakfast. Find one or two things you like and make them a habit. Diversify later. The key is just starting to incorporate them regularly.
Okay, makes sense. We keep mentioning the gut. Let's go a bit deeper there. The gut fermentation connection.
Right. So our gut is teeming with trillions of microbes, bacteria, fungi, viruses, the gut microbiome. It's crucial for digestion, making certain vitamins like K and some B vitamins, and it trains our immune system.
And fermented foods add to this.
They can introduce beneficial bacteria probiotics directly into this ecosystem. They can also provide prebiotics, food for the good bacteria already there. This helps maintain a healthy, balanced microbiome.
And this balance affects more than just digestion, that gut-brain axis idea.
Exactly. The gut and brain are in constant communication through nerves, hormones, and the immune system. What happens in your gut doesn't stay in your gut.
So how do fermented foods play into that?
Well, gut bacteria actually produce neurotransmitters, chemicals that affect our brain, like serotonin, the feel-good chemical. A lot of it's made in the gut. Also dopamine, GABA.
Wow.
So by fostering a healthy gut microbiome with fermented foods, you might indirectly influence mood, stress response, even cognitive function.
That's incredible. So it's not just adding good bugs, it's creating a healthier environment.
Precisely. Fermentation byproducts like short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs like butyrate, are fuel for the cells lining our gut. They strengthen that gut barrier.
Which stops unwanted stuff getting through, reduces inflammation.
Exactly. A strong gut lining is key. Beneficial bacteria also help repair the barrier and improve digestion overall. So it contributes to gut healing and reduces that low-grade inflammation linked to so many issues.
Amazing. Okay, before we leave fermentation, one source mentioned pemmican, calling it an original superfood. What's that about?
Pemmican. Yeah, it's a fascinating traditional food developed by indigenous peoples across North America, particularly plains cultures relying on bison.
What is it exactly?
Essentially, it's dried lean meat, pounded into almost a powder, then mixed thoroughly with rendered animal fat. Sometimes dried berries like Saskatoon berries or cranberries were added.
And the point was?
Survival, mainly.
Yeah.
It's incredibly nutrient-dense, calorie-dense, and remarkably shelf-stable without refrigeration. Perfect for hunters, travelers, or getting through harsh winters when fresh food was scarce. The fat seals the dried meat, preventing spoilage.
So high protein, high healthy fats, long-lasting energy.
Exactly. The meat provides protein and minerals. The fat provides concentrated energy. Berries add vitamins, antioxidants, and flavor. It was a complete survival food. And culturally significant, often made communally.
Does it have relevance today?
Absolutely. For hikers, backpackers, survivalists, it's still an excellent, stable energy source. People on paleo or keto diets are often interested because it fits those models. It's seeing a bit of a revival.
Shows how effective these old techniques can be. Okay, let's switch gears. The next one sounds really scientific. Nixtamalization.
It does sound technical, but it's another ancient, brilliant process. This one's specifically for corn or maize. It involves cooking and soaking dried corn kernels in an alkaline solution.
Alkaline.
Alkaline.
Exactly.
Traditionally, it was calcium hydroxides like lime, or sometimes wood ash, which is also alkaline. This practice goes back thousands of years in Mesoamerica, at least 5,000.
And why do it? Just to cook the corn?
Oh, it's much more than just cooking. The alkaline treatment fundamentally transforms the corn, nutritionally, texturally, flavor-wise. It's the essential first step to make masa.
Masa for tortillas, tamales.
Yes, the dough for those iconic foods. Nixtamalization is so central to Mesoamerican cuisine and culture, it's really profound.
And this technique spread.
It did. With cultural exchange, it moved into parts of Africa, the southern U.S. Sometimes the alkali source changed, like wood ash being common in the Caribbean.
So what's the actual process? How do you nixtamalize corn?
It's basically two steps. First, cooking and soaking. You take dried field corn kernels, boil them in water with a lime or wood ash added. Then you let it steep, often overnight, off the heat.
What happens during that soak?
The alkaline solution softens the tough outer hull of the kernel, the pericarp. But critically, chemical changes happen inside the kernel too.
Okay, step 2.
Rinsing and grinding. After soaking, you rinse the corn thoroughly. The loosened hulls wash away easily. What's left is called nixtamal.
The transformed corn.
Right, it's softer, swollen. Then you grind this nixtamal into masa, that soft, pliable, aromatic dough.
Okay, the big question. What are the nutritional benefits? Why was this so important?
This is where it gets really fascinating. A huge benefit is niacin, vitamin B3, Corn has niacin, but it's mostly bound up, chemically unavailable to us.
So we can't absorb it.
Not easily.
Yeah.
This led to a devastating deficiency disease called pellagra in cultures that relied heavily on untreated corn. But nixtamalization releases that bound niacin, making it bioavailable.
Wow. They solved a major nutritional problem without knowing the chemistry.
Exactly. Ancient wisdom. It also significantly boosts the calcium content because the corn absorbs calcium from the lime water. Crucial for bone health.
Any other nutrient changes?
Yes, it improves the protein quality too. Corn protein is low in the essential amino acid lysine. Nixtamalization makes the protein balance better, increasing relative lysine levels.
So more niacin, more calcium, better protein. What about digestion?
It makes it much easier to digest. It breaks down the tough kernel structure, removes that fibrous hull, and modifies the complex carbs. It's just gentler on the system.
And I assume it changes the taste and texture completely.
Oh yeah. Masa has that unique, slightly earthy, savory, nutty flavor you only get from nixtamalization. And the texture is transformed from hard kernels to that soft, pliable dough perfect for tortillas or the coarser grind for tamales.
You mentioned safety earlier, too.
Right. Corn, especially if stored poorly, can be contaminated with mycotoxins like aflatoxins produced by moles.
Nasty stuff.
Very. Linked to liver damage and cancer. The alkaline conditions during nixtamalization help to degrade and neutralize a significant portion of these toxins, making the corn safer.
So nixtamalization, ancient wisdom, modern relevance. Better nutrition, safer food, unique flavor.
Absolutely. It's a prime example of traditional knowledge holding profound value. And with interest in heritage grains and sustainable food systems, it's incredibly relevant today.
What's the future look like for this ancient technique?
Well, research keeps confirming and quantifying those benefits. The niacin boost, the calcium increase, protein quality. Chefs are innovating, using traditional masa in new ways, bringing it to wider audiences. From a sustainability view, it's a natural process, can reduce waste if hulls are used. People are experimenting with applying similar alkaline processes to other grains like sorghum or millet.
Trying to unlock nutrients in those too?
Potentially, yes. And technology is helping refine the process precision control of alkali levels, soaking times, temperatures to maybe maximize nutrient retention even further.
And still more research frontiers.
Definitely. Scientists are looking at how nixtamalized foods affect the gut microbiome, identifying specific corn varieties best suited for it, searching for other bioactive compounds created during the process, even potential cognitive benefits. It's ancient knowledge fueling modern science.
Amazing. Okay, third technique, sprouting. Sounds simpler.
In concept, yes. Sprouting is basically just the process of germinating seeds, grains, or legumes, taking a dormant seed and letting it start to grow into a young plant.
But that simple act changes things nutritionally.
Dramatically. When the seed germinates, it's like flipping a metabolic switch. The dormant energy and nutrients stored for the future plant become active and accessible.
So why is that good for us when we eat them?
Several key reasons. Nutrient availability shoots up. The sprouting process breaks down complex spiritual forms of nutrients into simpler ones our bodies absorb more easily.
Like what?
Starches get broken into simpler sugars, proteins into amino acids. Digestibility improves a lot. Crucially, it reduces anti-nutrients.
Those phytic acids again? And lectins?
Exactly. Phytic acid binds minerals. Lectins can interfere with digestion. Sprouting significantly lowers their levels, freeing up minerals like iron, zinc, magnesium for absorption. Plus, enzymes get activated.
Enzymes that help us digest.
Enzymes within the sprout itself become active, aiding its own growth. But this can also help our digestion when we eat the sprout. It's like the food comes pre-packaged with digestive help.
So you're unlocking the goodness packed inside the seed.
That's a great way to put it. And the process is pretty straightforward. You soak the seeds, grains, legumes, whatever, usually 6 to 12 hours.
Wakes them up.
Exactly. Then drain them well and keep them moist but not waterlogged. Rinsing a couple of times a day prevents mold and keeps them hydrated.
In a jar, a special sprouter.
You can use a simple jar with a mesh lid or sprouting trays. Keep them in a warmish, darkish place for maybe 1 to 3 days, depending on the seed. You'll see little shoots and roots emerge.
When are they ready?
Usually when the sprout tail is about an inch or two long. Then you can rinse them, dry them lightly, and eat them or store them in the fridge for a few days.
What kinds of things are good for sprouting? Not just alfalfa, right?
Oh, no. Lots. Grains like wheat berries, barley, oats, quinoa. Legumes are great. Mung beans, lentils, chickpeas, azuki beans. Seeds like alfalfa, radish, broccoli, sunflower. Even some nuts like almonds, though that's more like activating than full sprouting.
And the health benefits beyond just easier digestion and mineral absorption.
Yes, studies suggest links to improved heart health, maybe helping lower cholesterol,
Mm.
enhanced gut health because they're easier to digest and feed good bacteria. We mentioned better nutrient absorption.
Hmm.
Sprouting can also actually increase the levels of certain vitamins, particularly vitamin C, some B vitamins, and antioxidants as the plant starts to grow. Protein quality can improve, and soluble fiber often increases.
So quite a nutritional boost from just a little water and time.
It really is a simple, accessible way to make these foods even better for you. Digestive benefits, nutrient boost, it's a win-win.
Okay, so we've covered these three amazing techniques. Fermentation, nixtamalization, sprouting. They all sound fantastic, but maybe a bit intimidating for someone listening to just jump into.
Yeah, it could seem that way.
What are some easy, practical first steps? How can someone listening start bringing these into their diet without feeling like they need a science lab?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The key is start simple. Don't feel you have to master all three tomorrow. For fermentation, the easiest entry is buying good quality products.
Like yogurt.
Plain yogurt with live cultures. Kefir, a jar of sauerkraut or kimchi from the refrigerated section. Make sure it says live or unpasteurized, ideally. Add a small amount to your meals. A spoonful of kraut on a sandwich, yogurt with breakfast.
Okay. What about sprouting?
You can buy pre-sprouted grains or seeds sometimes. Look for sprouted bread or add store-bought sprouted beans or lentils to salads. Or just try sprouting mung beans yourself. They're usually pretty easy and quick.
And nixtamalization. That sounds harder to do at home.
It is more involved. But you can buy masa harina, the flour made from nixtamalized corn, in many stores, especially Latin markets. Making tortillas or tamales from masa harina gives you those benefits. Or look for good quality corn tortillas made traditionally.
So start small, maybe with store-bought options first. Find things you like.
Exactly. Experiment. See what fits your routine. Even small, consistent amounts can contribute positively. It's about integration, not necessarily a complete overhaul overnight.
Right. So bringing this all home, it's really clear that fermentation, nixtamalization, sprouting, these aren't just quaint old methods. They are seriously powerful tools.
They absolutely are. They fundamentally change food to enhance nutrition, improve digestibility, increase safety, and create amazing flavors.
Unlocking benefits that we're only now fully appreciating with modern science, right? Better vitamins, minerals, probiotics, breaking down anti-nutrients.
All of that. It's a testament to observation and ingenuity over millennia. Ancient wisdom that holds incredible relevance for our health today.
It really makes you think differently about food preparation. So a final thought for you listening. Consider these techniques. How could you maybe weave just one of them into your kitchen, even in a small way? Perhaps exploring the amazing variety of fermented foods out there. Or maybe looking into sourcing some real masa harina for taco night. What could that small change mean for your well-being?
It's a great question to ponder. There's so much deliciousness and health waiting to be rediscovered in these traditional ways.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us into the really fascinating and surprising